Edition, a Mathis man is recovering this morning after being stabbed multiple times. San Patricio County deputies say a fight broke out at a home on 359 just south of Mathis last night after 8:30. Investigators learned there was a dispute over payment for services performed on a house project. The victim, who has not been identified, says he was attacked by two men and stabbed repeatedly. He was rushed to Spohn Shoreline Hospital, where he is currently in stable condition. Investigators are looking for those attackers.